It's Friday, July 20th, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. So glad you can join us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Internal wranglings in the National Union of Public Workers appear to be deepening. Last evening, there were clear signs that the apparent rift between President Akani McDowell and General Secretary Rosalind Smith was far from over, following a meeting with the National Council summoned by McDowell. Smith and General Treasurer Asa Corey Beckles boycotted the talks, with Smith questioning the legitimacy of the meeting. She told reporters it was not a meeting because the 15 people required to hold talks did not attend. She insisted that she would only recognize next week's meeting of the National Council, where McDowell is expected to answer questions about the union's finances. However, McDowell insisted that yesterday's gathering was legitimate, but declined to say what was discussed. Sources have told Barbados Today that McDowell is facing possible dismissal from his post after the union's National Council meeting last Thursday gave him 7 days, which started on July 13, to answer 4 issues relating to the union's finances. This follows a recent investigation by a subcommittee which conducted an internal financial review. McDowell's attorney, Fabian Walrus, has however insisted that his client has nothing to answer on the grounds that Smith breached the union's rules and standing orders when she called the special council meeting. Local church leaders have voiced strong objections to the Pride Parade scheduled for this weekend. The march, set for Bridgetown on Sunday, is a culmination of events for Pride Month, celebrated here for the first time. At a news conference yesterday, leading religious leaders representing more than 20 churches warned that they would not stand by and allow the LGBT community to bully Barbados into adopting the gay lifestyle. Apostle Eliseus Joseph, the senior pastor of Apostolic Teaching Center, who was leading the group, suggested that the very existence of mankind was threatened by the gay lifestyle, and therefore the church has to take a stand.
We oppose an attempt to impose the homosexual lifestyle as a natural, organic sexual behavior and not a learned behavior on the majority of the population of Barbados. We want to make it clear that homosexual behavior or homosexual preference is a learned behavior. It is not an organic behavior. There is no homo gene. That's a myth.
The issue also came up at the 37th General Conference of the Caribbean Baptist Union on the way at the Barbados Beach Hotel. Reverend Vincent Wood urged Christians to rebuke and speak out against homosexuality during his feature address at the opening yesterday.
Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. That is our responsibility, and that is what we must constantly do, because I heard my sister speaking of those who are engaged in promoting their kind of lifestyle, and they want us to feel guilty when we speak against it. But we need to rise up and to shout and to declare it that God made man for woman and woman for man.
One of the island's leading manufacturers is feeling the pinch from government's decision to suspend its debt payments. Caribbean LED Lighting Inc. says it's affecting its overall operations. The company, which sources supplies from Canada, has been forced to comply with new restrictive measures imposed on Canadian manufacturers and suppliers by credit agency Export Development Canada. During Wednesday's Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry luncheon at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center, Executive Chairman of Caribbean LED, Jim Reed, lamented that his 7-year-old company was finding it more expensive to do business.
We're a Barbados manufacturer. We export to 18 countries. We've just won contracts in Suriname and the Bahamas, bringing US dollars into the country. one of the actions you took in the first few days of your office was to cancel the debt payments. That put Barbados under watch. One of our country suppliers, we get supplies from 7 countries. One of them is Canada, and that contract for supply was underwritten by the Export Development Corporation, who have now withdrawn support for Barbados, which means we cannot get any credit terms from a supplier. We've got to pay up front. That's an extra cost to our business when we're competing with very cheap and I would say somewhat inferior products from China. So that's the first thing, that the law of unintended consequences has hit us hard.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley maintained she had to make the move given the debt crisis she inherited from the Democratic Labour Party government. She, however, apologized to local firms that were feeling the effects of the credit default.
I am sorry. I appreciate the difficulty, but I'd like also to give you the confidence of knowing that in every case where a country has gone through debt restructuring, as long as they have taken the steps to undergo a resumption of fitness, that within 2, 3, 4 years, they access international capital markets again. Now, we don't want to do like those countries that went through debt restructuring, went back to bad behavior, and found themselves into a second debt restructuring. My commitment to this country is that we will do all that is necessary for us never to have to return to this moment in time. But we accept that there will have been, regrettably, some unintended consequences.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, Bermuda's ruling Progressive Labour Party says it has delivered in its first year in office. Premier and Finance Minister David Burt made the disclosure in a 20-minute address to the nation as he gave an overview of the last 12 months in office.
In 1 year, have we cured all of Bermuda's ills? No, we have not. However, we have made progress in reducing gang violence, progress in providing more opportunity for our students, progress in ensuring dignity for our seniors, progress in fairness for our workers, progress in tackling the high cost of living, progress in making government work better, and progress in tightening up immigration. Yes, we have. From the long overdue opening of the Land Title Registry Office to the 313 Bermudians that receive financial support to attend the Bermuda College. From the new educational programs being implemented in our prisons to the introduction of roadside sobriety testing. From the elimination of conscription to the many steps taken to promote healthy living. And from the increased resources to our entrepreneurs to the reform of legal aid. I am encouraged by the progress we have made in just 12 months.
On the international front, President Donald Trump has invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to Washington. The announcement comes just 4 days after a summit in Helsinki.
From Helsinki to Washington, the White House saying President Trump wants to invite Russia's President Vladimir Putin to the United States for a follow-up meeting this fall. I'm Andy Sullivan in Washington, where Trump is pushing for a second meeting with Putin, despite the fact that his first meeting has critics across the political spectrum ringing alarm bells, raising the prospect that the man who U.S. intelligence agencies say oversaw an unprecedented hacking campaign to help put Trump in the White House could soon be visiting the White House himself. The White House saying on Twitter that Trump has asked his national security advisor, John Bolton, to set up the meeting, adding that discussions are already underway. Trump's top intelligence official, Daniel Coates, was among those taken by surprise.
Okay. Yeah. That's going to be special.
Trump facing sharp criticism this week for appearing to side with Putin over his own intelligence agencies, which say the Russian president oversaw a sophisticated campaign to tilt the election toward Trump.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.